With me now is Ryan Nichols, our VP of Product and Marketing for Zendesk Sell. Ryan will walk us through our new Salesforce automation product that was formerly known as Base. Thanks for joining us, Ryan.
Thanks, Teresa. It's super exciting to be here, talk a little bit about Zendesk Sell. I should probably start just by describing what Sell is. Sell is, as you mentioned, Salesforce automation software. What that means is better productivity for salespeople, better processes and pipeline visibility for sales teams. And this is something that we've been delivering for a number of years now for over 5,000 companies around the world, including just some great brands like SBG, Blue Raven, Expensify, and others. So why did all these sales teams around the world love Sell? Well, it does start with the salespeople that are using the software. This is not something that usually salespeople say, that they love using their sales tool, but it's different with Zendesk Sell, because Sell isn't the tool they use after the fact to record all of their interactions with customers. It's where they actually go to engage with customers. And that makes a big difference, because when you're in the tool, sending that email, making that follow-up phone call, keeping your notes, that means the data that's in the system is incredibly rich. So because we're making salespeople more productive, that means that when you're managing a sales team, you have really good visibility into your entire pipeline. You know exactly what sort of decisions to make to help your team achieve your goals. The other thing about Sell, which is especially relevant now that we're part of the Zendesk family, is that it's an integrated set of tools. So salespeople have traditionally had a whole set of different tools they need to switch between in order to manage to their targets and hit their goals. Sell is an all-in-one solution, and it's also deeply integrated with Zendesk Support.
Now, most folks in the audience are focused on support, though, Ryan. So why is this relevant to them?
Yeah, so that's exactly why we're here as part of the Zendesk family, and it's really powerful to have an SFA tool like this coming from Zendesk. It really starts with, this is the sort of SFA tool you'd expect with Zendesk, right? This is a shared philosophy that Base, the original makers of this product, had with Zendesk, is a philosophy of building tools for the people who use them. And that shared philosophy is a great foundation for having an SFA tool that's part of the Zendesk family. We also think that making customers happy is kind of a team sport. You need to have everybody on the support team, everybody in the sales team, everybody who's customer facing on the same page. And that's why having a sales tool that's integrated with your support tool is so powerful. And we've just heard a little bit about our vision for Zendesk Sunshine. That's the final element of why this makes so much sense, is Sell is the first SFA tool to integrate with Zendesk Sunshine. And this just shows how we're going to be building out Sunshine to really represent the entire customer journey.
Great. So what's new with Sell, Ryan?
So this is the What's New webinar. I guess we should talk about some of the new announcements. It does start with just the identity, right? So welcoming Sell into the Zendesk family with our up and to the right relationships and our new name and a new user experience on both the web application and a really powerful mobile application. That's the starting point. We've also built some great new integrations with Zendesk Support. So a brand new app for Zendesk Support that allows salespeople to have the full context of what's going on with their support team, and vice versa. Lets the support team know what's going on when they're dealing with a particular account who's having a support issue. And then finally, we've made some great improvements and simplifications to the pricing and packaging of Zendesk Sell. This is going to seem pretty familiar to anyone using Zendesk Support, because we've aligned the plan names and the pricing and just made it really easy to get up and running with Zendesk Sell.
Awesome. Can we see it in action?
Absolutely. Let's take a look. So to show Sell in action, I need to introduce you to somebody new. This is Kate, and Kate is a salesperson at that company we've been talking about, Helios, because it ends up that Helios sells electric scooters not just to consumers, but also to companies. I mean, after all, that's where the big bucks are at. And in order to do that, Kate needs to engage with all sorts of decision makers, typically directors of HR at companies, to convince them that offering electronic scooter rentals is a great perk for their employees. So, as a salesperson, this is where Kate starts her day. It's her Zendesk Sell dashboard. And this is where she sees how close she is to achieving her goals for the month, what her top deals are, and which of those top deals are going to, in her forecast, put her above the target. So this is a great way to start your day, keep you focused on what's going to allow you to hit your targets. But when we look at the top deal here, we see that it's a big deal at a company called Acme. And if we zoom in a little bit, we see that this deal is a little stalled, right? This is a note that Kate left for herself because her key decision maker is actually somebody named Lisa, who it ends up had that experience with the Helio scooters over the weekend. So let's see how we can make this situation right. So Kate's going to click into this opportunity that she has, this deal that she has at Acme. And this is everything you need to know about the Acme deal on one page. So we see all the associated companies and contacts with the deal. Over on the right-hand side, we see the information about where this deal is in the pipeline on the left-hand side. But front and center of this deal is this timeline, where we get to see the full history of what's been going on with this deal ever since it was initially created. That first email, the qualification sales phone call, the follow-on email from that phone call, and then things start to go a little flat, right? A voicemail, a follow-on message, no response, right? So this is where Kate needs to decide how to continue pushing this deal forward. Now, what we're going to see is something new getting added to the timeline. And this is all of that interaction with the support team that Kate had over the weekend. So now we're starting to see why it's so powerful to have Sell and Support integrated. We see that there was a ticket that was opened, it was solved, and then we see a note from the support team that this support experience actually went really well. It's probably a great time to follow up with Lisa and see if she is ready to move forward with the deal. So that's exactly what Kate's going to do as a salesperson who's on it and ready to hit their targets. And she's going to do this via text message. I mean, such a personal way to engage with somebody. They've already been texting each other on their previous interactions. But this is a great opportunity to just check in and write a note. Hey, looks like you had a chance to test out our customer support over the weekend. How did it go? But of course, Kate already knows exactly how this went, right? She knows it was a phenomenal experience with the support team over the course of the weekend. So when she sends this text message, she's going to eagerly await the reply from her customer. And of course, it comes right back into Sell, right? So there's no other place to go check. All this conversation is not lost in some other system. It's all right here on the timeline. And we see the response. Support was fantastic. Send me the paperwork tomorrow. So this is enough for our salesperson, Kate, to change the status of this deal from the 60% provide proof stage all the way to, let's call this closed, right? All done but the paperwork. Maybe a little aggressive. Maybe I wouldn't go so far as to do that, but that marks it as a closed deal. And we see that added to the timeline as well as, since the entire team is here in Zendesk Sell, a note from the boss here of Kate that this puts you over your quota. So we now have the full life cycle, all the way from deal being created, all the way to it being closed.
So let me get this straight. The support team really did all of the work here. What an easy sell for the sales team, right?
You know, that's kind of how it works sometimes, right? It is a team sport, making customers happy. And it did take the entire company to bring this deal over the line. But now it's time for Kate to go off and maybe play a little bit of golf, as successful salespeople do. There's actually one more thing I'm excited to show off, though, which is, what is this experience like for the support team? And this is the new app for Zendesk Support that I mentioned earlier in our conversation. And it's part of a new integrated experience for support teams and sales teams, all powered by the Sunshine CRM platform. Should we take a look?
Let's take a look.
All right, I'll show it to you. So over in interactions here in Zendesk Support, we're seeing not just the sort of interactions we were looking at earlier in this webinar, but now we see sales activity, right? We see that the lead is converted. We see when the deal is closed. All of those key events from Sell show up in the interaction history. And we see in the Sell app a new capability where the support team can notify sales anytime the support conversation starts to get a little bit oriented towards, you really got to talk to a salesperson about this. I think there's a really good opportunity to close a deal.
All right, well, what a great new product for sales teams that should really benefit support teams as well. Thank you so much for walking us through that, Ryan.